Like I'll go down to the hardware store for something, and since I've been giving flowers away, loud Stephanie will say, "Hey, it's Mrs. Flowers." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "That's what the lady called you when she came in the other day." After I had the house set up and I had people help me get that going, I continued on Instagram and I started to find other people that gave flowers away. Kind of at first I thought, wow, this is pretty small. Not that many people do it. And I found you. I kind of remembered you saying you can do this no matter how small or how big. If you want to start, that was something I really thought was amazing. So I continued to follow you and added other people. Well, and the fun thing too is on a weekend, if we do something big, everybody's kind of nosy around here, or usually we'll be driving by somewhere, especially during the school season, when I pull the tulips, for example, because they're all just at the end. People would stop and say, I was going to grab something and it was all gone. I'm like, yeah, well, I have to go on to the next thing. So yeah, people stop, and I have old students and I know a lot of parents. And I used to say, even when I was just a teacher, like I was kind of a bit of a rock star when I was down at the grocery store because they all know you. Hi, Mrs. Carney.
Yes.
So, yeah. So that's how I Mrs. Flowers, just from giving them away.
Hey friend, welcome to the Growing Kindness Podcast. I'm your host, Deanna Kitchen, founder of the Growing Kindness Movement. This is a place where we grow together, learning to root our lives in kindness, connection, and community. If you've ever wished the world felt a little softer, a little more neighborly, or if you're craving stories that remind you that goodness still grows, you're in the right place. Together with our guests, we'll share stories of generosity and community, proof that even the smallest acts of kindness, from growing and giving cut flowers to everyday acts of care, can change lives and connect us in powerful ways. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. Welcome to the Growing Kindness Podcast. We're so glad you're here with us today. It is my honor and delight to get to introduce you to the loveliest lady who is just sending out the most beautiful ripples of kindness in her community. Sue, what a joy to have you here with us today.
I'm really happy to be here. That was the nicest introduction I think I've ever gotten.
Wow, it's truly a delight to get to visit with you today. So to start out, can you introduce yourself and share a little bit more about the corner that you call home in this world?
Oh, excellent. Yes. I was a second grade teacher and I've taught other grades too. I live right in my town, right across the street from where I taught, actually. So I'm always waving at one of my old students here and there. And my town is super tiny. Like I'll go down to the hardware store for something, and since I've been giving flowers away, loud Stephanie will say, "Hey, it's Mrs. Flowers." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "That's what the lady called you when she came in the other day." "Oh, Mrs. Flowers?" I said, "Stephanie, why did she say that?" She said she thought that was your name. Because I give them away? I mean, what are you talking about? But I have people stop by that know me. It's great. It's a great little community, and we're really happy here. We love it. And we had thought really just for a tiny little minute that we were going to move because my husband's a professional trumpet player and he has to go. Yeah, he travels a lot to go to do certain jobs. We thought it might be better to be near a big city. And all these people were like, "You're moving? What's going to happen to the garden?" I'm like, okay. When we changed our mind, we had a lot of people that were really nice. They're like, "Oh, so happy we're staying." So basically, we're just in a little small town. I have a son. He's grown up. It's me, 2 dogs, 4 cats, and a husband, and a lot of people around me. You could look right out the window and see the school.
I love that. You have deep, deep roots in your community. Remind me again, you're East Coast?
I am. We're central New York. We're surrounded by Syracuse, Albany. If you like baseball, the Baseball Hall of Fame is down the street.
Amazing. So you have deep, deep roots. Have you lived in your community a long time? I mean, it sounds like you taught there and retired from that school. Is that right?
Right. We have been here since 1986. I want to say 87, yes, because I got married in 85. That's always a problem. I can't remember.
I think we all have that problem. So you have very deep roots in your community. That's beautiful. So I know everyone who is listening has their curiosity piqued. How did you receive this name of Mrs. Flowers? How did you become known for this in your community? Where did that begin? How did that story start?
It had to start way back. I've always been a gardener. When we were little, my mom was in the garden club, and all I can think is vermiculite. Which is the gold? Perlite that has to be the white. Is it vermiculite that's goldish colored?
I can't remember which it is either, but in the mix, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I had to be about 10, and I'm like, oh, it was not fun. We were at a greenhouse with a bunch of grown-ups. I remember the one thing was we were taking cuttings and putting them in that gold magic stuff. And that's what stuck with me. And then from there, garden. My mom always had morning glories, and we just had a little spot in the back. I came from Massachusetts. And then even when I got my first apartment, I went out and bought way too many impatiens because I knew they could sit in the shade. And I packed them in this little dense area. They were beautiful. And then that was it when we moved to West Winfield and bought this house. I always had a garden on the side of the house. Then we had a barn that came down. I had a big 3-tiered thing in the back, which now is my filler for all my bouquets. And then, do you care if I just proceed like this and tell you how my gardens grew into Mrs. Flowers?
Yes, I would love to know how you came from impatiens in your apartment to your first home garden to becoming Mrs. Flowers. We would absolutely love to hear that part.
So I kind of love design, like my pictures on the wall. So we had our gardens on the side, but I was really into window boxes because we bought a house. It was like a cape. It is a cape. More of a salt box, actually, let's say. And we had these windows upstairs and downstairs with window boxes. So I would fill them every year, see where I could get them to hang. They were gorgeous. And that's where I really had the gardening bug. And finally, recently, I would say 2018, I said to my husband, those shrubs are no good in the front yard. So I came home from something. I was away for a weekend and they're out and gone. And so I had about little 8 feet out in front of our house. And so I started filling it with just big mixes of datura and Mexican sunflowers and zinnias. And then someone walked by and said, your house looks like it could be a cottage garden, my friend Ellen. I'm like, so right before we hit COVID, we extended our yard. And, not the yard, but we extended the garden. Our friend Dan, who's the excavator, came in with his tractor and plowed it all out and brought me some aged manure. And I started just growing and growing. And I said to Pat, I could just throw some bouquets out there and sell them. And he goes, why don't you just give them away? And I said, why don't I sell them and donate the money? He says, why don't you just give them away? And I said, okay. So they were there on a little wagon, and I had a sign that said, take a bouquet, but leave my wagon. Then I discovered Steph Hankerson, and she's Free Little Florist with periods on Instagram. And she had the cutest little house. And she had a lot to do with education. It was a lot of horticulture education. I think she has a big title. Cutest thing. She would put out 4 bouquets. She had little holes. And they went in the bouquet. Her bouquets went in there. And she'd describe what everything was on Instagram. So you got a little education with it. She'd put out things for winter sewing. Anyway, I contacted her right away and I said, do you care if I copy your house? Because I really love it. Do you mind? She's like, go ahead. And at that point, we became fast friends. And she talked me through so many things. So great. And we switched seeds. We got to know each other. Love her. And I can't recommend her site enough when she's on there. She does so much education. Then I started to see other people that gave away their flowers. So we decided to extend our garden again. So it's the entirety of our front yard. And we built a little house. My friend, that's a music teacher, built it for me. And we put it up. So excited. Since then, my friend Beth, another person, has had to take it apart, put it back together, and bring it to me. People volunteer to help all the time. And so after I had the house set up and I had people help me get that going. I continued on Instagram and I started to find other people that gave flowers away. Kind of at first I thought, wow, this is pretty small. Not that many people do it. And I found you. And one of the first times, I don't know if I ever told you this, you were like, it had to be your kitchen. And it couldn't have been that late for you, but for me it was 11:30. And you have this little thing up to your face like this. Everybody, I have to tell you the most exciting news. And I'm like, what is she talking about?
What was it?
It was that you were an LLC. You became an LLC.
You were like, you came in
excited.
right on. Yeah, well, so we became a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So that would have been December of 2019.
And that's when I was scouting.
No,
around.
2020. Excuse me, December of 2020. We don't have to stop the story for the dates, but yeah, wow. So you came alongside and discovered our organization kind of in the early days. That's so exciting. I love that.
Well, I remember the things that I loved and I followed and watched and wanted to see what you were doing. I kind of remembered you saying you can do this no matter how small or how big. If you want to start, I feel like you weren't giving kits away way back where you were doing something like that, where you talked about people that would even have like big pots in an apartment area.
Yes.
That
that was Kat in California. I still grows a garden in the parking lot of her apartment, just tucked in everywhere she can find. And really, that has always been the heart of our organization and the heart of this movement is just encourage people to just start and to use what they have. And so whether that's a teeny pot, on your balcony or like tearing up your entire yard and turning it into a flower garden to be able to spread kindness in your community. It's beautiful.
But that was something I really thought was amazing. So I continued to follow you and added other people. But it's kind of funny if you put in a hashtag of free bouquet, a lot of times I'll get a giveaway. So I finally started to follow the people that were ambassadors for you. So I could kind of get that idea. But that was huge when I found that. And I really loved the idea of even using that little teeny bit of space. I thought that was the greatest thing. And I had worked at my school. We had a little community garden and I got handed that for a little while, but I am terrible being a boss. I'm better at being a teacher, but I can't do that. Oh, we need this. You should get that. Hate it. So anyway, continued along. And people now would know. It's funny, the kids that are right across the street will look down and a parent told me, oh, they said they get distracted by looking at your garden out the window. I'm like, that's good news.
That's a healthy distraction.
Well, and the fun thing too is on a weekend, if we do something big, everybody is kind of nosy around here, or usually we'll be driving by somewhere, especially during the school season. When I pull the tulips, for example, because they're all just at the end, people would stop and say, I was going to grab something and it was all gone. I'm like, yeah, well, I have to go on to the next thing. So yeah, people stop, and I have old students and I know a lot of parents. And I used to say, even when I was just a teacher, like I was kind of a bit of a rock star when I was down at the grocery store because they all know you. Hi, Mrs. Carney.
Yes.
So
yeah.
So that's how I Mrs. Flowers. It's just from giving them away.
Sue, this is beautiful. What an inspiring story. I knew that you've been giving away this huge volume of flowers for so long, but I didn't ever know the beginning pieces. So that makes it even more encouraging, inspiring to see the way that it all unfolded for you. Sue, I cannot even begin to imagine the ripples of kindness that you have been sending out in your community. So every year, once the growing season begins, your little the flower house goes out.
It stays already built in. So even in the winter, if I have something, I could stick it out.
That is beautiful. And so then you have people visiting every day, then it sounds like?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do. I do tulips. I've done tulips every year. And the last time I did grew 4,000. So it was like in the front yard. And this year, I had so much disease and grasshoppers and everything the year before. It was devastating. And I thought, all right, I'm not putting tulips in this year. I'm going to have to do something else. And I ended up getting more manure and a whole bunch. I really took my time with that soil and worried about the blight.
So we were talking about how the stand opens in the beginning of the season. So you're starting to grow. So from the time that you have flowers blooming, you're giving away flowers in your community.
Exactly. And not only from the time that my flowers start blooming am I giving them away. And that started when I got the tulips going. My friend Beth, she built me a beautiful arbor because just rustic. She is bringing me things all the time. So anyway, Beth will say, I'll be by with a bunch of daffodils for you. And I have she doesn't usually bring me tulips, but she'll bring me other things. Summertime, she'll have sweet peas, bring me a whole bunch of the perennial ones. So I start in usually late April or early May, I think. And I can get a whole bunch of bouquets up that way. And I don't know if it's bad or good, but I do keep count.
I think it's beautiful because this thought that I read recently was that we measure what we value and we celebrate what we measure. So think about, we celebrate birthdays because we've measured that many days, have gone by in the year. We celebrate anniversaries because that's the number of years we've been married. Or if we're working towards a goal, we celebrate, miles that we've trained for the marathon. And so what it does is it gives us an opportunity to celebrate what we value. And so I think it's beautiful for that very reason.
You know what? I never thought about that. Then I don't feel so bad about it. Sometimes I really think, oh, you're really patting yourself on the back a little too hard by saying how many you've made. But then I do it anyway because I'm full of myself.
I don't think it's that at all, Sue. I think it's an opportunity. You have a really big goal to give in big ways in your community. And it's a way that you stay focused on that and it keeps you inspired to keep going. I think it's beautiful. Like I said, I think we measure what we value, and this is important to you, and the impact that you're having in your community is important to you. And so why not measure that and celebrate that? That's incredible. So tell me more about 1,000 bouquets. You've gifted 1,000 bouquets in your community. So if we can just pause for a minute and take in.
This year was 1,600.
Wait.
Or 1,500. Oh, no, I do it every year. I count.
So your goal is at least 1,000 every year.
When I started, I think it was 565. See, that's why I do this. Then I got to 700. Last year I did, was it 1,000? Sorry, 2 years ago. My friend and I were out and she came to visit to go to a knitting conference, and we got home and it was snowy, and she's like, you can do 70 more bouquets. Come on, you got some zinnias left out there. So we cut, and I ended up getting 70 out by the next day. And they were not terrible bouquets. It sounds like they would have been. So that year was 1,000. Then last year was my big year, 1,600. And then this year was 15. I didn't have the tulips, so it would have been even better.
Sue, that is incredible. Can we pause for a minute and just, we're talking about bouquets. We're talking about 1,600 bouquets, but there's something way bigger than that we're talking about. That was 1,600 interactions and moments where someone in your community was encouraged in a hard time, where they were celebrated, where they were seen, where there was doors open and conversations started. I cannot even begin to imagine how different your community is because of all of those ripples of just kindness spreading out and forward. And because your community is small, those ripples are just bumping right back into each other over and over again. I just want to pause and celebrate what you are doing in your community. It's beautiful.
If any of them are watching, they also know I'm not always super nice. You never know. I'm just afraid. It sounds like I'm an angel. I'm just okay.
No, we are all. So something I will share with you, and we'll do this off podcast, but if we all expected ourselves to be perfect all the time, we would stop trying. If we expected that we never honked at somebody, we never hung up on somebody, we've never been short-tempered with somebody, we've never made mistakes, we've never treated somebody in a way that we wish we hadn't. If we hold ourselves to that standard, we would stop trying. We'd be like, well, I'm out. I got to sit the bench of kindness because I messed up. None of us are 100% all the time. There's a quote, I don't remember who said it, but it's there's enough good and the worst of us, enough bad and the best of us, that it hardly behooves any of us to talk about the rest of us. And it's about gossip. But I think that it just is a reminder that we're all those things. And it's a practice. Kindness is a practice. And we're flexing that muscle as much as we can and trying to be more intentional about it. But it's not something that we just get perfectly every time. So I just want to encourage you in that.
That is really nice. And I feel good about it. This was a big revelation, and I want to not forget it. So I'm 62 and I'm like, I don't have that many more years in me for gardening, because who knows how long. And I always feel like, the end of the season, how many more will I have? And then I saw a woman, she was 92, and she was planting like teeny trees. And she said, my goal as many more years as I have, I will get to plant 10,000 trees, I'm sure. And so I said to my husband, see, that is a way better attitude than worrying about how many more years you have left. I said, maybe I'll try to give out 10,000 bouquets. He's like my biggest cheerleader. He goes, that should be easy. You're like on your way already. He's so cute. And so that is where I'm trying to head, be more positive about it rather than my age, And did I say I was 62 because I'm 63?
Age is just a number. It's just a number. We're in the right ballpark. It's fine. Well, Sue, it's just beautiful to think about these ripples that you're sending out in your community. And I can only imagine the stories that you carry and the stories that you've heard about what's happened because of these bouquets that people have come and picked up from you and then shared out in your community. Is there some specific moments or experiences that you just hold in your heart that are really special to you?
There are a few. My husband loves to remind me of this one. There was this lady, she was young. She wasn't a lady. And she stopped and grabbed a bouquet. And she said, I just wanted you to know that my grandmother passed away a couple of weeks ago. And I didn't know her. Sometimes I get people coming through. Once I had someone, like they were doing a cross-country trip. And they stopped and were excited. So I handed them a bouquet and they brought it on with them. But this was a girl who was local. And she said, so my grandmother passed away a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to tell you I brought her a bouquet while she was in the hospital. And she was so happy because there were some flowers in there she hadn't seen since she was a girl in Poland.
Oh.
So I don't know what they were, because I try to grow a bunch of weird varieties. That was part of what I wanted to do too, just to make it interesting. I just had a man in my house who stopped and said he took an extra bouquet. I left some at the post office. He said he got a little emotional and told me he gave them to somebody who was like a shut-in. And he said, he was fine. And he stayed at our house and chatted. So a lot of people will come and chat. Allison with an L, Pete told me her name a few years ago. We haven't seen her, but she came and she had just had chemotherapy and or radiation for her throat. She couldn't talk. But she could walk around, and she knew most of the flowers. Aww. She was, I don't know how old she was. I think she was older than I was. But I remember the saddest thing. I said, these sweet peas smell so good, and they're still blooming late in the season. And she said, I can't smell them. But she said, but I remember, it makes me think of what they did smell like. They were sweet. So I've had a lot. The little boy... Mm-hmm. I love him. We have a pool in the backyard, and he's, hello, do you have something I can carry these in? I can only get one jar in my pocket. And he's holding a Grand Marnier jar, bottle, because I had one, and I put it out for an adult, not for this fourth grader. He chats. We go through the garden together, and he says, I said, sorry, it's kind of a mess. He goes, yeah, I'll say.
You can count on kids, to be honest.
I have a helper. I had a couple of helpers one summer, and they were a riot. I got distracted, and my husband came out, and I said, wow, I'm really sweating. And my little helper, Elena, goes, I don't know why. You're on the phone. I mean, I'm always, yeah, she's something. But I'm always having, I know I'll forget one for, our old vet, he retired. He came through the yard in a big neck brace with his wife, and she said, I'm trying to keep him busy. He does some like bike racing things, and he went out on a path at night, fell, broke his neck, did all kinds of stuff.
Oh dear.
Like, yeah, with this thing. He said it wasn't good. So we had a big long story, and they ended up coming back and learning all about flowers and picking bouquets because Heidi says, I got to keep him busy. Sue, he's up. He wants to mow the lawn. I got to keep him busy. So they visited again. Last one, I have so many, but another one that was really sweet too. Parents reached out. Their daughter was at Hamilton College, and they said, I don't know if they had been by, they must have. And they said they wanted to make a memorable experience for her. And could they come and visit their first weekend with her and bring her to my house so that each year they could bring her back? I thought that was sweet. And the last one, there was this cute girl. She had to be about 20. Pulls into my driveway and gets out of her car because she sees the sign that says, please take a free bouquet. Is this real? I'm like, yes, you can take one. I just got a new car in Richfield Springs, and I'm on my way home, and I got lost, and I ended up at your house. So it's fun. I have had so many stories, and so many people come. You know, you always get somebody that tries to take too many, and I told my friend who also has a little house, I'll talk about him in a minute now. I said, you know, you always get somebody that takes few too many, and you wonder what's happening. He said, somebody just loaded up a car with 8 of them. I said, you have to tell yourself. He said, I know that they're going to a nursing home or something. I said, yeah, otherwise you'll get a little crazy. Would I be able to speak about a couple of people that were influenced?
Yeah, I would love that.
Well, the thing is, Steph influenced me with the little house that I love. Another teacher here who lives like maybe 6 miles away said, I'm going to build one too, and asked about where I got mine. I think that's how he did it, but he put one together. His is much nicer. It's got the little notes. I told him to make sure he follows you, which he does. They're so sweet, and his little jars look cute. But he started dahlias last year. I gave him some, and then he went out and bought some. And so he's going strong, and he keeps track of his too. So if I have extra zinnias, I'll send him his way. And my friend Barb is the other person that I had to reach out to her yesterday and say, you know, I gave you your first dahlia tubers, right? And I said, I don't want to say I influenced you when I didn't. And she says, oh no, I curse you sometimes in my head when I'm digging them up. She had 600. Oh. So, right. I ended up with 1,600.
Oh, that's tubers. A big job.
But that started from like 5. So I call her my VP, and she comes by. And she'll be like, I have so many, just come and cut, or, you know, just let me bring you some. So I get bundles of flowers from her too, which is great. I mean, I have a ton here, but she's so good. Barb, love her.
So not only is this impacting your community through the flowers you're giving, but you're creating all of these opportunities for other people to get bitten by the bug. I mean, kindness is contagious, and they're catching it as well and continuing that forward in their neighborhood, which is just absolutely beautiful.
I kind of got that from you. I'm not kissing up, but I said that to Alan, that part of the thing with this, I am not good. I wouldn't be a great ambassador, I don't feel, because I'm not one to go, okay, these are for you and I'm giving these freely. I'm kind of like, take them off the stand if you want. I don't feel like I would live up to like exactly what your motto and your, I don't know, I would say motto or what's the word I want?
The mission?
Mission.
I would say you were 110% live up to the mission, which is to freely spread kindness and send out ripples of kindness in your community. But I think that I think you're acknowledging something that's really important, is that sometimes we talk about Arthur Ashe all the time, like start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And some of us, that's a strength. It's easier to reach out and make those direct connections. And some of us, it's easier to have a way that we're impacting our communities that is maybe less direct, like when you're like what you're doing with putting these flowers out and inviting people to then really what you've done is you've empowered your entire community to spread kindness, which that's, again, I wish I could come be a wallflower in your community and just, sit at the local cafe or at the post office and see the kind of interactions that happen in your community because of these ripples that are moving out, and they're starting with you. And maybe they're not necessarily starting with a one-to-one interaction. Maybe your hands aren't the ones that are actually setting those flowers into somebody else's hands, but you've empowered your community to do that, which I think is everything that Growing Kindness stands for. So
thank you. Listen to me. I just want to tell so many stories. I will totally make this one quick. I did post about this on my Instagram, but we had 2 new people come to town and I met them. I was lucky to run into them at the post office, and they ended up being my 1,000th customer this year. And they came back, and one of them knew where my house was because they had registered their kid for kindergarten. And they said, "Oh, you're the one with the flowers." I said, "Yeah, that's me. Come on over." So they drove right up and we talked about where they came from. It was really fun. So it is kind of like, oh yeah, sometimes it can be a welcoming committee place or a place to meet, or all my old students that pop by and I just brought some flowers for my mom, Mrs. Carney, or Marissa and Becca, who always end up here first of the season. So, it's a lot of fun. And then I'll even leave them at the grocery store, like in the next town, or, if I have extra, they go. That I know, and I sound like I'm all braggy. I do hate to do this, and you don't have to
It's not bragging. I think it's celebrating something beautiful.
And I'm just hoping I remembered everybody that has, if I haven't, it's just there have been so many people that help, and Beth and Barb and Alan. It's just there's a lot of people that have spread cheer too, and I hate to miss anybody. But yeah, people pick up extra. They come at night. Somebody's on a night shift. We might hear someone out there at 1:00 in the morning if it's stocked, which it usually is. So
that's incredible. It's incredible that your community knows that there is a resource that's available to them, that it's freely given, and that it's a way that they can spread kindness and lift each other up and foster meaningful relationships. Like I said, I wish I could just be a fly on the wall and get to see the ways that this has impacted your community. You've made your community a more connected, more neighborly, kinder place by doing this. Thank you for the beautiful work that you are doing. So if somebody wanted to follow along with your story, and I've been following along with your story for years, and it's just so incredible to see the interactions. It's fun to get to see behind the scenes, what you're growing, what you're giving. If someone was listening today and wanted to follow along with you, where would they find you, Sue?
I'm on Instagram only. I don't have a website, and it's On the House Bouquets. So it's on.the.house.bouquets, as in the house or gift on the house, for free.
I love it. That's so fitting. Well, we'll link it in the show notes also for anybody if they want to just click directly there and get to follow along with your journey. So, Sue, if someone was listening today, and I love that gardening has been in your story from the earliest days, but if someone was listening and they'd never grown a garden, but maybe we're feeling inspired, getting to hear the ripples of kindness that can move out and through that, what would your advice be to someone who was just starting out?
Don't start big. Don't go crazy. And if you're in a small area, the advice that I read that you must have given to the person who started with pots, if you don't have a big spot, start like that and pick plants that are going to be really productive. Cosmos, zinnias, which those are my faves. And just check out online and see what is going to be the easiest to grow, basically, and the most prolific. Everybody seems to have a top 10. I don't know. I just know you want to have a little filler, but if you're tight for space, you can go get stuff on the side of the road. Put some Queen Anne's lace in you can pick other things in to supplement what you have. And give, I say.
I love that advice. That's perfect advice. Sue, I was also going to ask you what your favorite flower to grow and give is, but it sounds like zinnia that's your top. Can you tell us more about why that's your favorite and why that's one that you would recommend for someone who's maybe just starting out?
It's not even sentimental. It's just that the varieties are unlimited. I can't even tell you how much I love them. And now that they're being bred more, I always do support the breeders just because I really want them. And I know they're super expensive. So I just say to myself, you're creating more chances for different breeds. But I love them. I mean, a flat lay of I did a couple of the ones I had this year, and I can't even tell you. I did save a few seeds. I don't know what will happen, but I put them in a jug. I did some early winter sowing, and I'm going to try and have the discipline to self-pollinate or to pollinate them. I don't know if I can do it, but I saved some of my favorites. We'll see. The bees were so busy this summer. I'm sure they're all cross-pollinated and who knows what. But yay for zinnias, I say, and all the varieties.
I love that. It is pretty incredible flower to grow when you look at, you can go from all the way down from those, tiny little variegated blooms like the Jazzy Mix all the way up to, the Bennery's Giant and the Queen Lime series. There's just so many beautiful colors and sizes of zinnias out there. And like you said, so many breeders doing really incredible things, creating really new colors and creating new colors and varieties right now. So excellent recommendation. Sue, over the years, you have given thousands and thousands of flowers away. How would you say that growing flowers and giving them away has shaped you and helped you become who you are now?
Oh, that's a tough one. Well, I guess it's not that tough. One thing it's done is it's kept me busy because that's not a little thing. I always want to learn something new, but I always like to kind of be a teacher. It's like one of my weird things. So if I can kind of grab somebody and walk them through the garden and talk about it, I do love that. But I also like to give things away. I am a giver. My friend Jane always says, I used to say, oh, someone can be a taker or a giver. She goes, you're a giver. I always say, yeah. So I try to cheer people up. And I'll say, I'm not always the nicest person. Sometimes I say, and you might have to cut this out, I doubt it, but I think I'm on my way to hell and I'm just trying to score points to get myself back up. Every bouquet counts. That's where I am. But that's it. I just like to share. And if I have an abundance of something, like during the year, I always order too many seeds. I can't help myself. So last year I sent out, I won't do tubers this year because I do have jumping worms. But I just send things out and I share. So I share as much as I can, even not just the flowers, even seeds, even tubers, just to make it nicer. We need it nicer around here. That's another thing. We need that positive feeling because we're not always getting that.
Absolutely. I think it's a rarity. Yes, but it also is, it's evident listening today that it's who you are. To give is who you are. And so this is an extension of who you are. So thank you for sharing yourself and your flowers with the world so freely. And thank you for sharing your story here with us today. It's been so inspiring to listen to. And I am sure that if anyone listening today has been on the fence about maybe thinking about growing a garden, they will be very inspired to go maybe plant their first seeds and get going. Sue, I want to close today with a question that I have the honor of asking all of our podcast guests. And I think it just reminds us all that there really, truly is no such thing as a small act of kindness. And we never know how far lasting or how far reaching even the tiniest act of kindness can be. What is a time that somebody did something for you in kindness that you still carry in your heart with you today?
Well, I have one really quick one. You sent me dahlias. I ended up being sponsored, and I thought I signed up for a giveaway, and that was the greatest thing. That's where my friend Barb got some of hers, but it wasn't that one. I run a knit along every year, and my little note's still on the board, and somebody sent me a prize. 'Cause after you do it, I draw names. The person gets a prize, and it's Martha B. Don't know her. Right in the note. I opened it up and out fell a packet of unicorn zinnias, which I know you know from Flora. And it was last year when all of my garden was in such a disaster and many of my zinnias were ruined. And it was the year that they weren't going to sell anymore. I posted it because I was so beside myself when I found them because I had only saved a few from the last year. And someone from their team, the Florette team, wrote and said, make a wish list. We'll send you flowers for next year's seeds. So they supported this year's seed group. They sent me packets of zinnias that they had before they sold again this year. Last year they didn't sell. So that kind of went out to all the rest of the community.
And what a beautiful ripple of kindness that created for you, and then for you to be enabled and empowered to keep growing and giving this year. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so Martha B's got her little note. I've never met her, but I have her little note up on the top to enjoy these seeds. How did you know that those were my favorites, number one?
It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
So good.
Well,
that's it.
That's beautiful. Sue, thank you for the beautiful work that you are doing in your community, one bouquet at a time, one bloom at a time, and just for being here with us today to share your story. It's truly been a delight to get to be with you.
I have such a big head now. I don't know if I'll fit through the door.
I think we all need to be encouraged and reminded. And I just got to hold up the mirror for you today and show you who you already are. Thank you so much for listening to the Growing Kindness podcast. It means the world that you take the time to be here. Every time you show up, every time you listen in, community grows. If today's episode encouraged you, there are a few simple ways to keep growing kindness with us. First, you can join the team. When you become a Growing Kindness gardener, you link arms with like-minded, like-hearted people from all around the world who believe that small acts of kindness really do make a big difference. As a gardener, you'll receive access to resources, inspiration, and connection to help you grow and give flowers as acts of kindness in your corner of the world. It's free to join. Another way to get involved is to become a donor. This podcast is made possible by the generosity of our donors, kind-hearted people who believe, just like you, that stories of goodness are worth sharing. If you'd like to help us share more stories just like today's, visit growingkindnessproject.org/donate to make a gift and keep kindness blooming. We'd love to stay connected with you. You can sign up for our newsletter or find us on Instagram at Growing Kindness Project. We'd love to keep in touch and cheer you on as you grow kindness in your community. And finally, if this episode touched your heart, would you share it with a friend? It's one of the simplest ways to spread kindness today. I'm so grateful you're here. Until next time, keep growing kindness, one bloom at a time.